Hello and welcome back. We are watching Starladder still for 7 more days to come, because next week Sunday is our last day of group stages, and we are in day 24 of the group stages of 30 days. Then of course season 7 still here, and we're watching Alliance taking on Menace. As said, Swedish people versus Finnish people, Sweden versus Finland. With me is Capitalist, Sweden or Finland?
Sweden! All day. Every day.
Well, Finland is the land of, I think maybe I can actually say this, I don't think so, but maybe not anymore, but can I say because of Paragon being the most successful World of Warcraft guild, there are 25 people being successful in esports? Like, maybe Finland is the country where most people are most successful? I don't even, can I actually call
maybe, I think that's
esports?
cheating. I think that's cheating, because that's World of Warcraft and no one cares.
True. Fair enough. So, yeah, Sweden, that's Alliance, of course. They are back with their full roster. Loda feeling better. He didn't say that he was feeling good enough, but you can imagine. I mean, the fever is gone. He probably still has a cold, but he'll try to beat through it and farm some creeps, which of course is duty in this this game. As it looks like we might
probably
have
just couldn't stand. He probably just couldn't stand watching his team lose.
Yeah, that's probably.
Yesterday, he's like, no, I need to be there.
And on top of that, Black is actually on his way to China at the moment, so he can't actually call upon Black to farm up for him. Alliance, they are looking pretty solid for this season thus far. They have lost 2 games. They have only played 7 games though, so they still have quite a few games to be played. They have already faced up against the more tougher opponents like like Rattlesnake, like Navi, like Quantic. They still have to face up against a couple more people before we know if they're indeed going to Kiev, which for now looks like they will be. Menace, they have played 12 games. They're sitting on 5 to 7. Which is of course the same numbers as we just saw for Poseidon. So same thing is going for them that I just said for Poseidon. They're looking okay in terms of right now to be still in StarSeries next season. They're not going to go to Kiev guaranteed. And they have to kind of win at least maybe 1 more game if they don't want to get dropped to Pro Series or want to have to play regulation matches, of course. So we'll see if they can get themselves an upset here, because it would be an upset if they do take down Alliance, obviously. We've got a Bad Rider banned out still with an OD, IO, and a Naga Siren, with the first pickup for Menace being the Life Stealer.
Interesting pickup. I mean, Naga Siren is banned away, but there's still the Bane in the pool, who's a very good counter to Life Stealer. I don't know, I would never value Life Stealer that much, even back in the day when he was consistently picked up. I feel that there are too many pretty decent counters in the pool. So we may see something like a Bane and the Weaver picked up. Those two are definitely good counters, and Weaver is constantly picked up nowadays anyway, so that's what I'm expecting from Alliance, but they always run their own drafts. They always they never seem to pay attention too much to the enemy team, because they always focus on their own deal. And they're going to go Nature's Prophet and the Abaddon as well.
Yeah, that will be EGM's hero, of course, and Bulldog's hero. And the last time they played Abaddon, they played it up against Power Rangers. They lost. Who knows? Maybe that's something good for Menace to take away from this one. But yeah, with the Life Stealer, I mean, as you say, it's that neither of these are actually counters towards a Life Stealer. Perhaps you can consider a Sprout a bit of a counter towards a Life Stealer, but other than that, well, actually, I guess the shield kind of removes the open wounds, right? Allows you to run fast.
Yes, it does.
So in a way, it does help with them. It's not necessarily a counter, but it's at least helping people stay alive against Life Stealer. Not necessarily to kill Life Stealer, but at least it's something. And as you said, they more run their own draft rather than anything else. And I think we're gonna see more of that in the next picking phase. But for now, Menace is gonna try to secure a hero that they want to take home, and that they are afraid that Alliance might be banning out in the next banning phase. And perhaps the support is indeed a good choice. Visage still in the pool. Oh, they go for a Lone Druid, actually. Life Stealer Lone Druid combination. Well, we've seen it before. It's not always that successful, though.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, interesting pickup. Good offlaner, but still, picking up your cores this early allows you to be countered pretty heavily. So Alliance has a lot of options to counterpick if necessary. Lone Druid, the roots can also be countered by the Abandoned Shield, so That's just yet another disable. But fortunately, Lone Druid, while the roots are really important, he also is just able to continue to chase, especially once he picks up that Orb of Venom early on. Just that consistent damage if you're caught out way too far. Just being able to put a shield on the roots isn't necessarily going to save you, just because Lone Druid can just continue to chase over and over and over again. So, Razor, meanwhile, banned out. Very good counter to both of those heroes. Being able to drain the damage from the bear or the lifestealer even through rage. That would have been a great pickup for Alliance. Also works really well with Abaddon because all you need is tankiness on your Razor in order to do well in the mid game, and Abaddon provides that without even having to pick up a single item. So that would have been a great pickup, so very smart ban away by Menace. Meanwhile, Alliance is going to take away a couple of the supports that they don't want and they feel that Team Menace would work well with. Visage, they could potentially go for an aggressive try here, but I would never recommend it because Abaddon, I feel, is way too strong. I don't like to see Abaddon in tri-lanes unless it's a defensive tri-lane versus an aggro tri. That's the only real times that I like to be able to see it, just because it so heavily counters aggressive tries. You depend so much on being able to pick up those kills that being able to completely counter it with a Aphotic Shield really shuts you down. So most likely it's going to be an off-lane Lone Druid and a defensive try. Chen is also banned out by Team Menace. Got to take away some of that push since they already have a Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, if Alliance still want to have one of those jungle heroes for Aki, they can always go for an Enchantress in the end. I have to say, I'm not too much of a fan of the off-lane Lone Druid. I think we've mostly seen successes for Lone Druid being in a safe lane and then have an aggressive tri lane, but I fully agree. You can't really run an aggressive tri lane when you already know that you're going to be up against an Abaddon. It's not going to be a guaranteed win tri lane for you, and I mean, that's not even with only one hero picked up, let alone the other two still needing to be picked up for Alliance. So, yeah, safe lane Lone Druid will mean that there's a lot of pressure on the mid laner that Menace will pick up, and the supports, of course, as well. So far, of course, we don't really know any support yet for Menace. They still have the Nyx Assassin in the pool if they want to go for that. The Bane that you already mentioned, still in the pool as well. But Visage, indeed, one of the stronger supports removed from the pool, and now also Storm Spirit, meaning that perhaps we're going to see something like a Queen of Pain or a Puck picked up for Alliance for their mid lane. But most of all, Menace, no Storm for them is no real aggressive mid laner that can really easily shut down Nature's Prophet. And I just said, I mean, there's going to be pressure on that mid lane because Lifestealer needs some time to farm up. Lone Druid needs even more time to farm up, especially if he's going to be on a suicide lane where he's not going to get that much done in the early stages of the game. And someone needs to buy time for Menace, and be that the support, be that the mid, they need something solid for it.
Yep, the Weaver being picked up by Alliance is a good counter. You may see an early gem picked up by Lone Druid put on the bear. Be a really good pickup for them, but either way, Abaddon and Weaver, there's a lot of good synergy there. Allows Weaver to be much more aggressive than usual, and already he's a very good counter to the Lifestealer. So, and another hero that really like telekinesis is a pretty good disable, but another disable that's immediately countered by the Abaddon. So, Menace is going to work on a little bit more of their team fight. I feel is something that they're really going to need. They can pick up all the disables they want. Unfortunately, if that Abaddon is just following Weaver, they should never really be able to kill Weaver. It's just too hard with that Aphotic Shield. So I'm not entirely sure how they're going to be able to do this on Team Menace. They've got some good push, so maybe if they just focus on team fight and if they can win the mid game and be able to use the Lone Druid's pushing power to end the game early on, possibly we can see them. If not, they're just going to have to turtle up and try and use their dual core strategy to out-carry the Weaver, but I honestly don't see that happening.
Yeah, I like the Enchantress pickup for Alliance still. Allows them to be a bit more aggressive. Maybe puts Menace in a position where they're still going to try an aggressive trial lane, but with Enchantress coming out of the jungle and still only the Abaddon there, it's still not going to be all that successful. Weaver still, of course, picked up. I like it. It's not looking very Alliance-y-like, at least not the Weaver. The rest, of course, does look like Alliance, but the Weaver, I normally load, I plays different type of carries, so we'll see. Still a lot of strong mids in the pool, by the way. Menace, if they want to pick up a strong mid right now, they should, because the first pick after the banning phase is going to go to Alliance, so they are going to be having the freedom to ban out whichever hero they find is strongest up against the hero they want to pick up, and if they still want to go for a puck, they can just ban out the Queen of Pain or the Templar Assassin, whichever one they don't want to be facing. So if Menace wants to go for either of those, they probably have to pick it up right now, and they only need one extra support right now after the Rubik, or maybe Jungle Hero if they still want to go for something like that. And wow, I was not expecting that mid, but they do secure their mid. They go for the Slark. I was not really expecting that to be banned out either, though.
You know, that's I think this is a smart pickup from them. They need something that's really, really aggressive, that's going to be able to run the game for them in a sense. They need some hero that's going to be able to pick off a lot of these squishier supports. Enchantress and Furion, both susceptible to the Slark's burst damage, and something that is going to be able to put some early pressure on Alliance. And now with this sort of tri-core setup, they can take this game late pretty easily, so they need to focus on turtling, but Slark is still going to have a very, very big job, even if they aren't going to push in early and use Slark's aggression to be able to pick off heroes and end the game earlier. Instead, it's going to be the opposite here. He needs to be able to use his aggression and movement around the map to slow down Alliance as much as possible, pick off some of their squishier heroes, delay that farm as much as possible. That way they can get Lone Druid and Lifestealer to those big carry positions that they need to be. So now they're looking pretty strong in the late game, but they are missing a lot in the early game. Lone Druid does nothing. Lifestealer can help out, but it's not a whole lot. They need a really high impact support hero, and honestly, I'm not sure what they can pick up here that is going to put them enough on the defensive. Maybe even something like a Keeper of the Light, some pure turtle hero that outputs a lot of damage might be an idea. You've already got the Nature's Prophet, so he's very, very good versus that split push. And yeah, I honestly, like, I think a Keeper of the Light would be pretty strong here. It's not your typical support hero, and you don't necessarily want to pick it up when you have a Slark and a Rubik. You want something that's a little bit more gank heavy, a little bit more nuke-tastic, something like Alina. But I still feel that their biggest threat is going to be the early to mid game pushing power of Alliance, and them forcing fights around this Weaver, because this is going to be a hard carry Weaver now that we've got the Clockwork picked up. And so they should be all about the mid game on Alliance. They're just going to force a lot of fights in the mid game and continually put pressure on Team Menace. So I really feel they need something that is going to give them some room to breathe against these pushes.
Yeah, they kind of need that, because otherwise all the pressure would be on the Slark. And even though that's okay if he has a decent mid lane, which might be a bit more tricky now that he's up against the Clockwork, they could definitely use something like that. But they go for a Spirit Breaker, so it is gonna be a Spirit Breaker that will try to charge in probably on the Clockwork. It's not a very easy hero to charge in upon. You know the thing about a Spirit Breaker on the Clockwork, if he gets a bash, and he's sitting in cogs, Clockwork actually gets pushed out of the cogs, and Spirit Breaker will be left by himself in the cogs, and there goes your ganking potential. So I really love the pickup from Alliance. I think it's very strong up against what Menace is going to try to do to them, and especially, I mean, picking a Spirit Breaker into a Clockwork kind of means that this Spirit Breaker is going to try to gank up top lane rather than going to gank up mid lane, because you can't really try to do that to a Clockwork. So we'll see if that indeed is the case, or if they're gonna maybe try to get some farm up on the Spirit Breaker, who knows. It's nice though, I mean, they have a plan. We get the plan, it's just that Alliance already kind of countered their plan slightly with that one pickup, only the Clockwork.
Yeah, this is interesting pickup. I don't feel that Spirit Breaker does enough for them, but I figured if they were gonna go another support, I figured it would be Lina. That way it combos well with the Rubik. It gives you a lot of firepower, pun intended, for Menace, and you'll be able to cleave through, potentially cleave through even the Weaver. Would be a really, really good target if you're able to get to him early on, or even just be able to pop the Lincolns with Fade Bolt, lead with Telekinesis after that, and have Lina throw down all of her spells. You know, even if EGM is in the right spot, you could easily wipe out the Weaver before he gets that Aphotic Shield off. And if that's the case, then you've just won the team fight. Because that's where all the damage is coming from, is going to be all the physical damage coming out from the Weaver. I do like the Clockwork pickup. He's definitely an attention grabber because of the fact the way he jumps in and pops cogs. He isolates a hero and he forces kind of all the attention on him, which is going to allow Weaver to be able to slip in on the side and start outputting some of that that slippery physical damage that he does. You don't really notice it, like you know, compared to a Lifestealer or PA where they jump on you. You're like, oh god, there's this hero doing a whole bunch of damage to me. And you immediately try and focus on disabling or saving yourself or whatever. Weaver's a little bit more difficult. You got those bugs just kind of sneaking in, doing bits of damage at a time, and all of a sudden, you know, 2 seconds later, you're down to half health and you're about to die. So I like the pickup. I think they've got a lot of good synergy with Weaver on Alliance. A lot of good synergy between the Abaddon and the Clockwork with Weaver. So I think they've got a really strong lineup. And as long as they execute, they'll be able to take down Menace before Menace gets too big on any one hero.
Yes, we're seemingly having a bit of, well, pause on pause going on between teammates right now. So we'll see when Alliance is ready to go. Menace is ready to go. Let's see who's playing what, of course. Once again, you're watching StarSeries Day 24, Game 2 of 6 in Season 7 group stages. And Menace is going to look to get a win to try and not get dropped to the regulation matches. And Alliance is going to try to pick up a win because they really want to go to Kiev. And even though they're doing pretty well already, they still have quite a few games to play, so they can't really afford to lose a lot of them. So they want to also win because of that. So let's see, Lapis, he'll play the Spirit Breaker. Support Spirit Breaker as expected, already picked up some wards. Sifla will take on the Rubik. Also support here, of course, which I say of course, but he used to be the carry of Menace until Tommy came in. He is still standing in, not under the stand-in tag, but we've seen Tommy standing in before, and he will take on the Lifestealer in this fight. It will be Boogie who'll take on the mid lane as a Slark, and last but not least, it is Spin taking on the Lone Druid, who will be going on the off lane most likely. And that, of course, are the Finnish people. Everybody on Menace, as we have got a Scandinavian showdown, and I'll leave the Swedish people for you to introduce.
And on the Swede sides, S4 is going to be on the Clockwork, Ake, Enchantress, Loda on his Weaver, EGM on Abaddon, and of course the famous Admiral Bulldog on his offlane hero of choice, which is going to be Nature's Prophet this game.
Yeah, and lately Alliance has been going for Nature's Prophet more than for Lone Druid if they had the choice. So could have something to do with the fact that they actually lost with the Lone Druid last time they played him, where they were able to pick him up. But well, Nature's Prophet offers just a lot more control in the early game in terms of on the offlane, and has that potential to roam into the jungle and then of course farm better than a Lone Druid does because of his Hand of Midas in the end. Well, we'll see, and not too surprising lanes coming from these people. I mean, a safe trial lane coming off from both. Aki going into the jungle, or semi-trial lane, I guess I should say, for Alliance, but Clockwork in the mid. Nature's Prophet will go to the off lane and then go into the jungle because he will probably start in the off lane because he doesn't want to take too much farm away from Aki. Aki already picked up a smoke, so might try to make a first blood happen somewhere. Maybe up on the Lone Druid, who's going to be the one who's going to be on the off lane. Again, very straightforward lanes coming off from both teams. And therefore our mid lane is going to be the most interesting one because that is the lane where people are actually facing each other the whole time. And not trying to do the gimmicky stuff as pulling creep waves behind towers, which is going to be happening on both lanes, I think, both off lanes.
Yeah, you know,
Nice.
I think again we're going to get really, really hasted bear. Well, that's a really easy way to just mess with the lane without your bear taking any damage. We're going to have really, really passive lanes again. Admiral Bulldog is actually sitting in lane. That may be a little bit of opportunity, especially with the Spirit Breaker. Being able to, you can easily charge tier 1 towers, so that may be an opening for where we'll see a little bit of action. I really don't think Spirit Breaker is going to be able to charge the Clockwork, because it's a Clockwork, and he excels at being able to go up against melee heroes with cogs and with his battery assault. Oh no! S4! This is typical Slarky. You take level 1 Essence Shift against melee heroes, and S4 is already so far behind. He's already lost 5 attributes, and sitting at half health already.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that you can do here is cog yourself and then push Boogie back, but he actually locked himself in just now, and that's something that you can't really afford to do. So we'll see how he can live through this. Actually gets pounced upon. Maybe Boogie gets himself a first blood. I think he might be able to. One more hit. Boom! You're dead. Boogie gets it. First blood taken down. And that's going to be a very early first blood. I wasn't expecting it to happen this early. Level 3 now for Slug. And wow, in comes Aki. He is going to save the lane for S4. Harpy Stormcrafter. Good luck with that, Boogie.
So I don't know. Someone on your chat said, you can easily reimagine my monologue to be that of a fashion show analyst.
Fashion show analyst.
That's like the most original comment I've ever seen.
The first thing I would think, I would think like, what do fashion analysts sound like? Because I don't think I've ever heard that. And why would the person that says that know that?
I have no clue.
Well,
I have no clue.
That's gonna be something that, you know, should casting not work out for you? Fashion analyst.
That's my fallback career.
Yep.
Since I'm such a trendy guy. Oh no, Harpy Gaming.
I know, right?
Harpy Gaming is gonna ruin Boogie's life.
At least he gets himself back to health, but I mean, this is just the most annoying creep that you can think of, and S4, he really needs this help. Without this help, his lane would be more than lost, and now he is actually able to get maybe something done again. Of course, it is an Enchantress, which is, you know, less bad than a Chen, so the Harpy will disappear soon.
That's true. 20 seconds though, with that stupid cooldown, you can output so much damage in 20 seconds with that Harpy.
Why is he not doing it now? Oh, there we go.
Seriously. Wow, please nerf the cooldown, or the range, or both.
Or something.
I'm okay with the damage, but it's just ridiculous that the spam you can do with that. Still though, he's bottle crowing, so he's gonna be fine. Just a little bit of harassment. Meanwhile, top, we may see our first bit of action. Spin. He's a very, very squishy hero. You forget the Lone Druid is so squishy early on. The hardest trouble is just getting on him, but Centaur Stomp, if you can land it.
And they do, and that's gonna be Spin going down. Shield, actually. A Photic Shield getting the last hit. EGM getting some extra gold. Second blood, of course. First blood already happened in the mid lane, so Alliance making the score even. And I mean, I keep saying this a couple of times, but they turned their bagel into a breadstick. I never was able to say that because I really didn't know what it actually meant until like maybe a month ago or so. I think even like a TI, I just wanted to say it sometimes. It's such a famous saying, right? Apparently. Nope. 1-1.
Just like those Americans, what are they talking
Yeah.
about? Bagels and breadsticks? I don't understand.
It's like weird. Well, now there's 2 breadsticks. Oh,
Yep.
Dark Packs.
Double breadsticks so far. Middle, looks like so far the CS is going the way of S4. He's actually sitting 16-3, even though he did die. Mainly because that Harpy's been able to free up a lot of room. Boogie, though, putting in a lot of aggression. He's nice. He waited until S4 attempted to use the rocket to clear through the regen, and then popped it. He's sitting in control of this lane pretty heavily, even though he is down in CS because of that. Being able to be really, really aggressive, force your enemy to use some of their regen that they have, and then pop the regen rune in your bottle. Puts you at a significant lead.
Smoke on Sifla and as well as Lapis, they are going to try and charge someone. I'm not sure if they should actually try it on S4. Perhaps they're going to try to force out the cogs so that, you know they don't have to deal with it. I think that would be a good strategy. But S4, I'm not sure if he's going to get baited out like that. Perhaps he is, actually. He's going to get forced right now. In comes a charge as well. S4. Maybe he can actually kill off Boogie before he dies. That might be the best thing he can go for. Yeah, he gets it, and he dies afterwards, or does he? He runs for it. He does go down in the end. Creep with the last hit. In comes Bulldog, a little bit too late to save his carry, or save his solo mid rather, but 1 for 1 in the end. And I would actually put that in favor of S4.
Yep, absolutely. Good reaction by S4 getting out that cogs. The leap kind of telegraphed that gank was coming, so really smart play there. And he's able to get himself a kill against, 3v1. Tier 1 tower went down at top, and now the Tier 2 tower is being threatened quite a bit, though the creep wave was pulled all the way back to the Tier 3. But still, they're able to do just little bits of damage. That's the power of Abaddon right there, the fact that they can dive so easily against some of these towers and force this Lone Druid back. Meanwhile, Furion, I mean, you're comparing the off lanes. Lone Druid is supposed to be able to have a bit of an advantage because he can actually sit in lane and get a lot of experience from that. But because of his death, he's actually not too far ahead. Furion is sitting at level 4, just like he is. The Lone Druid is about to pick up level 5 here sometime soon.
Yeah, and S4 is actually rotated onto the bottom lane. I was thinking maybe Bulldog was going to continue sitting mid, but he left mid to go into the jungle, and S4 not going mid either, so they're leaving Boogie to free farm, which is pretty scary, because, as you said, I mean, he was quite shut down in last hits, and right now he's just getting free farm, something that he didn't get before, so I'm not quite sure if this is the right move. But they'll have to deal with it now anyway, because that's the choice they made. Clockwork is sitting at level 6, almost level 7. Got Treads is level, has got his ulti, so might be able to make something happen. But it looks like we're gonna see Menace trying to make something happen instead. In comes the charge. They want to go for S4. He doesn't have any wards up, but he does move behind his tower or not. Nope. And there they go. Cogs got put out. Gonna be maybe giving S4 a bit of a pause to get away. No, in comes the telekinesis, the pounds, and all the damage that you can think of. 4 heroes needed to take down S4, but they get it with Tommy taking the last hit, and that's just lack of wards on that side of the map, and a bit of a ballsy move against a lineup that has a Spirit Breaker, so you can expect charges to happen around this time, because it's the only thing that he can do.
Yep, and they need to continue to do that. Maybe even get a smoke up into the enemy jungle. See if they can pick off the Furion would be a really good target about right now. You're about to pick up your Midas if you're Admiral Bulldog. In fact, he already has picked up the recipe and he's flying it out to him. You need to be able to maybe shut him down a little bit. Meanwhile, Ake, I'm not really sure if he wants to do this. He's going into the enemy jungle when you've got a Slark on the team. If they just stay grouped up, stay focused on their side of the map, Slark isn't really going to be able to pick off anybody, but if they spread out, and if they go onto the enemy side of the map, I think Slark could very easily rotate over and get a pick off. But again, they're going for S4. Cogs is going to be on cooldown. This might have been a very terrible mistake that S4 made, trying to put some harassment with Cogs.
Yep. In comes the pounds as well. The infest out. Tommy hitchhiking a ride with the Spirit Breaker, and S4 goes down for the 4th time in this game. He has been all the deaths that Alliance has on their team. Nobody else died, so I guess that's a small comfort for the rest of the team, but 4 deaths for Clockwork. He needs to, like, Clockworks normally need to be able to get levels, get a Blade Mail, to be able to do something, and right now this Clockwork can't really get to anything, as we have got Aki maybe in some trouble because he might be... Oh, in Visrune. Of course he does. That wasn't
like, seriously, he's just dodging a bullet every single time. Yep. Like, he was sitting next to Spirit Breaker, Lifestealer, and Lone Druid. And then, right as Boogie starts rotating down to bottom, hoping to get a rune, there happens to be an Invis rune, one of the 2 runes that would have kept Ake alive. I don't know why he's being so... Well, I do know why. It's because Furion's taking a large part of his jungle. But it really feels too risky to be able to try and do this. But it seems to be working out so far, and they're going to be able to take a tier 1 tower at bottom in the meanwhile.
Yeah, Aki takes a creep, couldn't go for the courier because it was hasted. Figured perhaps he wants to try and do it on the way back, but he now realizes he has to back off because in comes Menace. They just took down a tier 1 tower, and they are trying to rotate, perhaps go for the next tier 1 tower on the menu in the mid lane. Would be a good one as Clockwork. Perhaps looking for a hook shot. No, doesn't find it up on Sifla. Still pop the battery assault though, but walks back to mid to stop the push from happening. In the meantime, Loda is still happily farming here. He is 53 to 14. He is not highest on net worth though. That's gonna be Tommy, who's infested and actually charges up on Aki. And comes the infest out. Aki pops the Nature's Attendance, but gets blocked and gets killed. And that's gonna be another kill added to the board. The first non-S4 death on Alliance that Menace is getting here. Still though, I mean, even though Tommy is involved in those kills, which is really neat, and he is ahead on net worth, he is kinda not farming, and I mean, this is still a pretty scary Weaver that's getting his free farm on. I wouldn't count Alliance out just yet. Oh, that's gonna be Slark dead. A bad one.
Great blocks from EGM. Really great blocks. He was able to stay ahead of the Slark, and they end up getting a kill because of that. Loda, meanwhile, diving in at top. Spin. Diving the tier 3. Loda is just going all out for this one versus a Spirit Breaker too. No charge just yet, but they could very easily start going for that. If Spirit Breaker had been level 6, that's really when you're going to see them start addressing Loda though, is when Spirit Breaker's level 6, and how and why is Tommy middle?
Well, first of all, he thought he had an easy kill on S4. I mean, everybody has killed him off so far, so why not he? And he actually was quite far, but in comes EGM, one shield, one heal, in comes a Cogs, and there's no way out for him. His rage ends, he can't get a kill, and he gets picked off instead. I would say that's on the back of EGM once more, so good kill for Alliance for sure, shutting down the highest farmed hero on the map for Menace, and for actually just on the map in general. Is probably one of the bigger things that you can do. Of course, he was level 8 as well, so a lot of extra experience going the way of EGM, who's now level 7. Extra experience going the way of Clockwork, who's now level 9. And, I mean, despite him dying 4 times, he's not actually looking as bad as you might expect. He's got hookshot up, he's gonna try to look for something perhaps again, as a spin is quite far away actually from being able to do something. I mean, he did not pick up a Hand of Midas or anything of the like, so he is going to be just a walking entangle if he gets lucky, and otherwise he's not going to contribute anything for a long time. In comes a Pounce Bulldog, tries to TP himself out, will be in time. In comes a hook shot, and the Cogs and the Sentry Ward, they go for Boogie, the damage is there, in comes the creeps, not even needed, they take him down, S4. Getting revenge for the hard lane he was in.
Yeah, this is the problem with maxing out Dark Pact, is that if you jump in, use your pounce offensively, it puts you in a really bad position. If you're unable to get the kill, or if there's some sort of turnaround, the pounce will not be up in time for you to be able to get yourself out. So, bit of a problem there for Boogie. He really needs his support. He really needs the Spirit Breaker Lifestealer in order to do this. But right now, they're looking pretty hard at S4. They do have the ultimate as Spirit Breaker. And that combo by itself, the Cogs could very easily stop the gank. But if they're able to get inside in melee range of S4, oh, unfortunately, he picks up a haste rune.
Yeah, this is a lot of farming time wasted for Tommy as well. He was sitting in Lapis for quite a long time. Now he infests out and goes for farming small camp, but that's a lot of time wasted. And he's actually now behind the Weaver in terms of farm. So good job, I think, there in a way for Alliance, but they got a bit lucky, I guess, making sure that Lifestealer doesn't farm. But Alliance definitely back on track, I would say. I mean, it's now 5-5. The gold graph is actually in favor of Alliance. Hand of Midas, of course, helping out with that one for the Nature's Prophet. As we have got experience graph going their way as well. I mean, that's a very simple explanation right there. Later kills give more experience than earlier kills because you kill off heroes that are higher level. And therefore, Alliance is going to be in favor of this game as the later kills are all done by Alliance. Perhaps we're gonna have something happen here middle. We still have Lapis here. He can still try to charge in. Never mind, he gets hooked upon. Tries to get himself out, but will be dead before he can. Spin running away from the Abaddon, who has still got his ulti, so he's gonna be fine. In comes the Dark Pact. Doesn't hit up EGM, but the Pounce does. There goes your borrowed time. In comes Bulldog. Never mind, that's actually Syphla with a teleport. That's gonna be Abaddon dead. What a bad news you have then, thinking you have some help coming in, but it's actually just Rubik with the teleport of the Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, that was a nice steal earlier from Syphla, grabbing that one. Early Roshan gonna go down. That's because Ake has 3 levels of untouchable. 3 levels of untouchable, and then Roshan just doesn't do anything. So that's an interesting pickup, utilizing the early medallion from Weaver and Ake's skill build. Loda actually put up on the cliff, and he doesn't have a teleport either. Syphla made a big play, and with that teleport out, he's going to be able to get himself to safety. Well done. And Loda forced to use time-lapse in order to get down from the cliff.
Yeah, won't have that up if he is going to be in trouble farming on that bottom lane, where he's now going to attempt to take some farm. He has got the Aegis though, so in a way he still has that second life up. By the way, he's got a weird headpiece. Yeah, it looks awkward. Oh well. Yeah, Syphla big plays, able to teleport out. Still hasn't died yet this game. Has got 3 assists on the 6 kills that have happened thus far. We have got a bit of a goal again on the tower though. Alliance continuing to push here on the middle lane. Towers are even as of now, but maybe slightly in favor of Alliance. We actually have a charge up on EGM, looking for an entangle as well. In comes the Lifestealer with Lapis. Burrow time getting popped. Telekinesis still there, trying to drop EGM back. And that's gonna be one dead horse. Aki goes down as well. Rubik able to pick him off. Loda trying to get away. In comes the Nether Strike. Putting Lapis back up on the high ground. Bullock looks for last hit. Can't find the vision. Now he finds it and he gets a kill.
Play.
Running away from the Lone Druid, hoping he doesn't get entangles. And that's gonna be an entangle. And that's gonna be a kill. One hit entangle. The bear working against of Bulldog, as they only got 1 kill in this one, and they actually lost 3 heroes. Pause comes up from Menace, as we have got a disconnected. The hero that is disconnected is offline though, as in, or sorry, dead. Obviously he's offline if he's disconnected, but he won't be having an impact on this game, or at least on this play. I think if they get some lucky entangles, they can actually get this kill going.
Yep, they that might be an additional hero that they pick off. Alliance making a bit of a mistake. They while they want to be aggressive, I don't think this is the time for it. Weaver did build some early game items, and they do have the Aegis, but I still feel that they need a little bit more farm up on their heroes before they go all in. So this is a really bad fight. Menace able to pick up a lot of kills. We had a couple of really good plays there. Spirit Breaker using his ultimate on Bulldog in order to get up the cliff and almost away. Bulldog using Sprout to give himself vision for that last auto attack. And that unfortunate first hit root as he was shadow emulating away. Really unfortunate, but either way, they're going to be able to pick up a lot of kills, and that was mainly because Stark was able to do a lot of damage there in that team fight. He got in on 2 very squishy heroes. The Abaddon, who had already popped his ultimate, and the Enchantress just popped both of them very early on in the team fight. And now with S4 going down, that could actually be some tower gold as well for Menace, which is huge.
Yeah, well, the Cock still on time. Looks like S4 lucky to not get entangled on first hit. In comes Loda though, goes for Sifla, who steals himself the Shikushi, and goes for Loda. Loda with no time lapse, does still have an Aegis, but isn't forced to use it this time. Sifla should be able to get himself away unless he gets himself a rocket flare on his face. S4 will try to get it in 6 seconds, but doubt he's gonna get it. Sifla already TPing himself to base, so we'll be fine and alive. Here comes a 4-staff for Clockwork. I like it. Oh, they're still gonna try the flare. It's gonna be, yeah, nice try, but oh well. No, I like,
nice steal by Rubik. That was a really good play. He would have died if he hadn't turned around and stolen Shikuchi.
Yeah.
So, good game sense there.
Indeed. 4-staff indeed first 4. I like it. I mean, he's able to force himself out of the cogs if he gets charged upon, for example, push down the cogs, and, you know, 4-staffs himself away from perhaps Spirit Breaker and Lifestealer and leaves them sitting in the cogs. It's, of course, the best one that you can have. And perhaps helping his teammates as well. Ooh, top lane, Bulldog gets pounced and killed. Charge helping out there. Hookshot misses from S4. And Lapis and Boogie looks to be able to get himself away and home safe. Even the rotation gets cancelled by Aki and EGM, who are now going to continue rotating middle because their tier 1 tower will get dropped. They won't be in time to deny it either. Lone Druid takes the gold. Lone Druid, who's really in need of some gold as well. He is still sitting on a nice amount of net worth, and he's keeping up with the rest actually. There's a very even amount of gold on the cores. The only real difference is the supports, but even that, I mean, we can see in the gold graph, it's just below 500 gold difference. It's very impressive for both teams. But now with the tower going in favor of Menace, they will be getting slightly ahead again unless Alliance can do something against it. How about take their own tower in middle, which they might be able to get.
Yep, we now see the armlet picked up, so Lifestealer may be ready to fight here in middle, especially if he is, yes, he's invested inside the Spirit Breaker. They're going to force this fight.
They're going to go for Aki. The charge is already there. TP in from Boogie as well. Bounces up on EGM. Already has a borrowed time pop. And there goes the infest out. 4-stop forward from S4, keeping himself safe. Aki getting himself a shield. Will live as well. Burrow time stolen by Sifla. How amazing is that spell, right? And that's going to be nobody dying just yet. Burrow time all around. And Aki living, of course, as well through that harassment that the Spirit Breaker was able to throw out. Alliance, though, they are not really wanting to go in just yet, I would imagine. Perhaps now they have low down their side, they might try to. In comes the open wounds up on EGM, a shield for himself, but he's already dead. In also comes another strike still. Alliance will lose their Aegis as they still manage to pick up Rubik, but he buys back. He's going to be back here shortly. Aki no longer having a heal, having to back off for him. And the Aegis back off. Loda just walks himself the high ground, doesn't want to be in this fight anymore. Fight 1 by Menace, I guess. Well, it's a 1-for-1 trade. 1-for-2 trade, I guess, with a buyback on Sifla. Yeah, 2 supports for a support. Oh well.
Yeah, they took down the Aegis, so it was kind of a 2-for-2, but that Aegis was going to go down soon anyway, so that was, they're pretty glad making that sacrifice on Alliance. They're fine with that. So, was still a pretty even fight either way. Slark was able to pick up Shadow Blade now, and they're just going to continue on charging. Now they're going on S4 once again, but he should know that Alliance has done a really good job controlling who is in vision. So they know pretty well which heroes are being charged. And a lot of heroes, when they are in vision, have Abaddon sitting behind. It's amazing how the cogs plus the Abaddon being able to provide the shields and the heals, how that middle team fight, when 3 of them got hit by Spirit Breaker charge and infest damage, they all survived from that. And that's just because of the defensive capabilities of Alliance's heroes. So really, really strong. They're going to be able to deny middle tier 1 tower, though. That's going to be a great pickup. But Spin, he's in trouble right now. S4 is going to look for that hook.
Well, let's see if he gets it. Spin standing still, and that's going to be an easy hook for S4. In comes Loda, in comes EGM, and I think that Spin is going to be finding himself going down here. In comes also Lapisto. They want to try at least take a return kill. S4 attempted to get saved by EGM, but it's not enough. And down he goes. Boogie in some trouble, goes down as well, though. Loda double kill, telekinesis. Holds him safe. He still has a time lapse though, and he goes for Lapiz, and he will be able to take the kill down. EGM going down forward. Loda has got a time lapse, will not be forced to use it. Never mind. There he goes, and now runs himself away with the Shikushi. The sentry ward. Nah, they won't find him. Nice dodge there from Loda. Will be able to teleport himself out. Exchange favorable for Alliance for sure. 3 for 2, including 2 cores dead, and only losing 1 core and a support for Alliance. So pretty big win, I think, for Alliance. One thing, by the way, that is interesting to note for this game is that Menace is formerly known as Red in the Dark. They're the team that started Red Dota, and Alliance kind of known for playing Red Dota. So who's going to be better at it? The real Rats or Alliance? Huh?
Well, Menace is definitely one who's going to be trying to play Red Dota. I mean, when you've got a Lone Druid and a Lifestealer on top of 2 other heroes that will act as pretty decent semi-carries, both Spirit Breaker and bottom.
Oh, the
Spin's
stun
in
is
trouble
already
again.
there. Do they have the damage? In comes the teleport from the Slark. Is gonna try to help out. Loda already pounding hard up on Spin though, and it might be enough. More teleports coming in. Down goes the Lone Druid. They'll continue to try and fight though. In comes the Piss. He has an infested Lifestealer in him. Infest out. S4 turns on battery shot. Gets 2 people in the cogs, but can't force them himself out anymore. It's not enough to keep him up. Bulldog just trying to hit a bit up on Tommy, but he's got an armlet, should be fine. EGM waiting for his shield to pop, perhaps. There he goes, he's able to get himself a kill up on Lapiz. Slarkso ends up going down to the Enchantress, and Sifla tries to get himself out. Won't be having enough mana anymore to Shikushi though, and that's gonna be only 1 hero left alive on the side of Menace. It is the stand-in, it is Tommy's Lifestealer. 4 for 2 in favor of Alliance, who are done playing nice, it seems.
Yeah, that was really, really close. Unfortunately, just so many counter wards being brought to these all of these battles. They're completely shutting down Boogie. Boogie, who went for that Shadow Blade, is it's made pretty useless in these team fights when you have all of these counter wards from Alliance. So Alliance is doing a really good job. They're spending a lot of gold, but it's definitely worth it when they win all these team fights. So Mech is now up on the Furion, so we've got even more team fight for Alliance. A little bit more sustainability against that, and at this point, I think Menace, they can't fight any more team fights. They're rapidly growing out of control. They need to focus more on these picks, and that's where the Shadow Blade can come into handy, is being able to set up the invis, set up on top of a hero, that way you can get the charge, that way you don't have to initiate right away. You can wait for the charge to come in, and be able to help out with bursting down that enemy hero that you find.
Yeah, it looks to be going for S4, but gets stuck in cogs. Unlucky. But yeah, we talked about this a bit during the draft, and we knew that the supports as well as Boogie were going to have the pressure to keep this game away from the Lifestealer and the Lone Druid so they could get their farm in. And even though they've been getting some of their farm in, it's not as much as Alliance has been getting on their 2 cores. And if I say 2 cores, I actually mean Loda as well as Admiral Bulldog, who has got himself the Shadow Blade and a Mechanism and 1600 gold to boot, who is actually highest on net worth right now. And of course Loda, I mean, he's got his Lincolns now ready, so this is going to be Loda starting to build towards some damage items, and from that point onward, Alliance is going to probably try to take even more fights. They've been ganking up Spin now a couple of times. Spin has finished up his Maelstrom, which is a nice item to have, but it is an item that you normally go for if you know that you're not going to get enough farm in time to go for a Radiance or a bigger item. So for now, Alliance, well, looking good, and Menace, well, their cores are not able to do enough just yet to distract the attention away from them, but perhaps they at least delay the game long enough for Lifestealer to be getting well, one extra item before fighting. He has his armlet, he has face within drums, no more charges on the drums by the way. But he's sitting on 2800 gold. He invests inside Lapis once again. Roshan is being attempted by Alliance once again. And in comes the charge. Up on EGM. In comes Boogie as well. EGM will have his borrowed time popped and almost back to full HP. Forced up to the high ground. Full Bulldog for Bulldog sitting in his Ghost Scepter. Cogs locking in 2 as 4 goes for a double stun with a hook shot. Is it enough to take down at least one hero? No. Clockwork is the one to drop. Pounds away from Boogie. Goes for Bulldog. Pounds there as well. Bulldog able to pick up that kill. In the meantime, Slark and Lifestealer and Rubik all still dying as Spin is the last one alive here. Loda able to get some kills in, and that's gonna be Spin able to be home safe. Teleport out, not enough to save up on Alliance, but Alliance did not end up losing anybody. And I think well, they lost S4 actually, who bought back. But I think courtesy of S4, that double hook shot, the disable, making sure that both Lapis and Slark Boogie were not able to contribute anything to the fight, leaving the rest to be sitting ducks. Pretty neat. And Roshan, of course, taken by Alliance as a result of that. And H is for Loda.
I wonder how frustrated Slark is in these team fights. Like every single time, I've been really focused on him because he's supposed to be the main damage dealer for Menace right now. And I've been watching his play, and every single time towards the end of a team fight, he's getting low, and he's fighting up his last bit. His Shadow Blade comes off of cooldown. He activates it right before the final couple of attacks go off. And he goes down because it doesn't matter. The Shadow Blade doesn't help when you've got counters already being thrown down on the ground. The last time that counter ward, its radius was barely in range. Barely in range to get the auto attack from Furion to finish him off. So this is pretty sad team fight for Boogie all around. He's not able he's being unable to utilize Slark like he wants to, which is jump in, take some damage, put out a lot of damage, and then being able to activate your ultimate or activate Shadow Blade, get out, and go back in again after your full health, and put out more damage. He's very much like a bounty hunter in that regards, where a lot of times in team fights you play the back and forth. And he's just being unable to do so because of his build and Alliance completely countering him. That being said, they're bringing a lot of team fights to Alliance instead of Alliance trying to force down tier 2s. Menace is actively trying to go out and fight them, which may be a bit of a mistake, but it is protecting a lot of their towers. But these team fights are getting worse and worse and worse, and they just need to find pickoffs. Find pickoffs, stay away from team fights.
Yeah, S4 finds himself a hook, gets Sifla there. Battery assault should be enough to take him down, but Sifla's stolen some cogs of his own. It's not enough though. Abandoned shield able to get the last hit in the end and get the kill. Down goes the tier 2 tower, of course. I mean, Alliance, they have grouped up. They are done with farming up. They've got a gem. They've almost got Heaven's Halberd up on EGM as well. They're building towards Aghanims. I mean, they're done fighting. They're done farming. They know that they are ahead in this game at this moment, right now, right here, and they're gonna try take advantage of it. In comes a charge, up on Bulldog. Boogie coming in with the Shadow Blade as well. Is not enough to take down Bulldog though, and he gets a heal, and down goes Lapis actually. Tommy coming in, having to force himself out with the rage already there. In the meantime, Boogie just on the backside of the fight gets taken down as well. Now Tommy with the cogs on the wrong side of the wall, and down he goes. Buyback upon buyback as the Slark as well as the Spirit Breaker. Buys back, but I think Spirit Breaker is going to regret that decision. There we go. He dies again for the second time in a row. Boogie walking himself back to base as well because he knows he cannot fight right now. He has to be saving his strength for fighting maybe if Alliance overextends, but right now they have to give up these racks. And this fight actually gives Alliance all that they need to finish up the items that I was just talking about, including the Aghanims, which Aki just took a trip to the Radiant Fountain for to get himself the item. Sifla still goes down. Loda still going for this, wants to go for Spin. Spin doesn't die for this. Of course, Loda in this fight was also able to make a trip and get himself the Desolator. I mean, this is looking... And the Heaven's Halberd. You know, why have the courier fly all the way across the map when you can just go to the enemy's fountain and pick them up there, your items? Brilliant. Yep. State of the game. State of the game. The only one that hasn't picked up new items is Bulldog. At least not after his Ghost Scepter. He's still sitting on 4k gold. And is pushing down middle to make sure that the tier 2 tower is going to be prepared to go down because Menace, they were indeed, you were right, they did do a good job defending their tier 2. Or tier 2's multiples, but that also does mean that Alliance couldn't rotate into the mid lane. So a small blessing for Menace, but they have to be ready to fight again soon. And in comes an infested lifesteal already. Oh, in comes a charge. They want to go straight away. Not quite sure if that's the right move, but perhaps they can take down Bulldog this time. And he pops a ghost if there's not enough. He goes down, but as is Lapis, he drops Loda with the shield on. Goes for Boogie. Boogie forced to pounce himself out of this one. Tommy looking for a hero, looking for Loda, but the bash will not be enough. And actually, Menace cannot do more than what they just did. They kind of showed all their cards. In comes a time lapse. Boogie not able to pick up Loda. Tier 2 towers still under siege slightly. Not enough to force Alliance out.
No, it isn't with the bad. Nice deny though by Boogie. It's gonna help out a little bit, but it's still, they're having serious troubles in this team fight.
Yeah, EGM force stabbing forward is Borrow Time. 2 seconds away from being up. Now it's up. Hello, Borrow Time. Welcome to the fight, Boogie. Down goes the Rubik, the Lifestealer. The Slark. Double kill for Loda, able to pick that up, and in the meantime Loda himself, he gets ensnared. He does have an Aegis still though, so I'm not thinking he's worried. Triple kill right now, wants to go for an ultra kill, finds it as well. GG gets cold as the Aegis will still go down, but a team wipe is at hand and Alliance get themselves a win here in their game in StarSeries today. Menace, they looked okay, but it's not enough. Their execution, it just, that clockwork messed up their plans. Even though they were able to shut them down enough, those cogs still messed up their plans later on in the game. It was just too much of a disruption in their team fight.
Yeah, and the build on Slark, it's very much a pub build against organized teams. You're going to have a much harder time being able to utilize Shadow Blade. And if you are, it's going to be for ganking, not necessarily for team fights. And so instead of going for those ganks, they kept forcing team fights, and that completely goes against Slark's build. But in general, I mean, they, besides some fundamental errors, they had a pretty good game. Put Alliance on edge a little bit with their Spirit Breaker Slark aggression, but all around, that and focusing Abaddon in these team fights. I mean, I know you don't want to have to deal with targets being Aphotic Shield and healed and that sort of thing, but you just have to try and burst through that. Instead of trying to jump on the Abaddon every single team fight, and have him activate time and just reverse all of the damage you've done. Little silly.
Yeah, we are going to have another game of Dota 2. Of course, this was only game 2 of 6 that we'll see today. We're going to jump ourselves to 4FC versus Ubost, so that we're going to jump ourselves to the bottom of StarSeries, the bottom rankings that is, and Ubost, we already knew that they are probably not going to go through, and they're going to be dropped to Pro Series straight away. But 4FC, they're actually sitting on 15th location right now, but they want to just, you know, at least play regulation matches and not get dropped out of StarSeries without any chance to get back on. Regulation matches is the one that 4FC is going to aim for. Let's see how they do. Stick around for another game of Dota 2 in about 5 minutes time, and we'll be right back.